Not the nicest day today, as we've just been discussing in the preamble to the call, in terms of the weather anyway, but it is a weathery sort of theme today, we hope. So anyway, I'm Symon Vegro, after yet another 2-week break, including a lovely time down in Cornwall, when I did enjoy good weather actually, which was rather nice. And I welcome you all to another Active in Redbourn weekly call. As always, thank you to all the generous people, including the Parish Council, who've donated to keep these calls free of charge for our listeners over the last few months. And as ever, I believe our very clever technical team behind the scenes is making this call available live on the Redbourners Facebook page, and afterwards it should be both there and on our website. So you can find it there if you want to listen to it again in any way like that. Bear with me just 1 second. My computer's gone peculiar. As in previous weeks, I put everybody on mute, so other than the speakers, obviously, so you can make as much noise as you like, make the kettle, make a cup of tea, let the dogs bark, whatever you want to do, and it won't interfere with us in any way at all. So, our wonderful guest today. Now, by the way, Will, have you made it onto the call yet?
Yeah. Hello. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Will. Fantastic. Okay, lovely. So we've got Will Gibbs, our lovely vicar, will be giving a very, very interesting talk for the week. And by the way, Will, just to alert you, I love the fact that you've concentrated on this particular date. And I'm going to give you some homework for a future date, if that's okay. But I'll tell you that when you do your call.
I like your challenges, Simon. I'm always up for them.
Thank you, Will. Now, we're going to start the call today with Graham Goldring, who runs the local nursery. And I should stress it's plants, not children. And we did rather hope to have Louise Lear, our BBC weather reporter, but she hasn't dialed into the call yet. She may be busy, so we'll see if she makes it. If she doesn't, we'll be fine, and we'll perhaps go to one another time. So, first of all, a big good morning to you, Graham, and how are you today?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm very well. Looking out the window, looking at the pouring rain.
Yes, as I said, it's a bit weathery, isn't it? So, but good for plants, I guess.
Good for plants, yes.
But not so much fun for us. So,
no.
I'd like to start then, Graham, if I may, by just asking you to tell us all about the nursery. You know, how it came into being, how it works, how it functions, all that sort of thing. Would you mind just giving us a few minutes on that?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, Dad bought our land where the nursery is back in 1958, and so I've known it all my life. I was born in '69. So when we were young, we just basically potted about on it, really. Dad used to grow some veg, and we kept chickens and ducks. And then my brother put up the greenhouses in 1990 and ran it as a nursery with he did other jobs as well for 10 odd years. And then I was made redundant in 2008, and a couple of years later I thought, well, the infrastructure is there, the greenhouses, and I recovered one or two. I thought, well, I'll give it a go. And so I did. And after a couple of tricky years, the first couple of years were hard work. I've made a living from it, and it's great. And 10 years later, here I am with a good business that keeps me in the
manner to which you were accustomed. Yeah,
that's the one. That's the one.
Now, it did occur to me, Graham, actually, not everybody might know where you are, because I do, but do you want to just describe to people where all this is, just in case they don't know?
Yeah, of course, yeah. In fact, I'm only just off the high street down Water End Lane. It's only about a couple hundred metres just past the ford of the river. And it's funny, it's not a very long distance, but trying to get people to come down the lane is actually quite difficult.
Yeah.
But over the years I've managed it, and I number my clients well into the hundreds now, which is wonderful.
Now, of course, you do deliveries, don't you? And can people also come along and collect things, or can they just sort of wander? Because I must admit, I've never done that. Can we just wander in and buy something, or is it all come to your door sort of thing?
Yeah, it's very seasonal, my work. So my busy season is April, May, June, and that's when I'm fully open, the gates open. People come in 7 days a week. People can drive down the lane, come in, and load up their boot. Other times of the year, it's more seasonal, and he'll phone me up and I'll do deliveries, and I'll go around knocking on doors. But the busy time is springtime.
Okay. And what sort of plants do you supply? What's your rate? Do you have a particular kind of type of plant, or is it everything, or how does that work?
Yeah, the range of plants, starting from March, I get my geraniums and fuchsias and summer bedding in, and they're planted up, and then sold from April, May, June. So that's the busy period. That's 75% of my income is from 3 months. It's very, very seasonal. It's a huge, huge bump in the income. And then I suppose you could say I'm ticking along for the other months. Autumn bedding, September, October, pansies, violas. And at that period I'm also potting up hyacinths for December time, and daffodils and tulips for selling in February, March time. So it's very, very seasonal. And I do manage to get some time off in sort of July and January.
Oh, that's good. Good you get a bit of a break. Have the people of Redbourn got any particular favourites? Is there some in any way that you can mention?
Yeah, I did have a think about it. I suppose one of the favourites are geraniums, because of they're easy. They really are. They're reliable. They don't mind a bit of drought. They just produce flowers. They don't get any pests really. They just work. And I think people do like a geranium because of the reliability. I think that's the main thing. So I would say geraniums.
Okay. Okay. How has the lockdown affected you then? Has it been really difficult, or have you sort of ploughed on regardless?
Yeah, I did. It did affect me somewhat. I had 12,000 plants on order in March, and the second lot didn't. I missed out on about 2,000 because Holland was locking down just as the order came out.
Oh, right.
So I missed out on a few plants, but basically I potted everything up. I was all ready, and people came down, phoned up and said, "You there?" Yeah, I said, "Yeah," and I sold out in 6 weeks. So it was all right. Yeah, I was fine.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So obviously I'm sure everybody on the call wants to support local businesses, so we're really pleased that you're doing all this. You've told us where you are. Just remind us again, down the end of Water End Lane, isn't it? And you just keep walking. You don't do the left turn up towards Crown Street. You just carry straight on, and you're down there.
That's correct. Yeah, all the way down along the rough road. The river is actually, funnily enough, the river, being it's raining today, the river will go up again today. It's quite high at the moment, but the ford isn't that deep in April, May time. It drops down, and it's fine to drive through. I drive through every day. It's absolutely fine.
And what about walking through it? Do people need Wellingtons?
No, there's a bridge.
Oh, okay. I was rather hoping there'd be some sort of, it'd be quite exciting to have to fight your way through torrents and things like this to get to your plants, but not quite that exciting.
I have had some people phone up in a panic going, "Oh, there's a river blocking my way," so I had to come out and wave them through and said, "Yeah, it's all right," and yeah, they understand, and it is all right. It's absolutely fine.
Oh, good. Delighted to hear that. Well, listen, we're really pleased you're doing well, Graham. So keep that going. I've got one final question from you, which I know I told you about, which is from my nephew actually, who wants to know what's the most dangerous or weirdest plant you've ever come across, and could it be a triffid?
Yeah, I did have a think about this. Obviously, I don't grow any triffids, I'm afraid, although my tomato plants are nearly 2 metres tall in the greenhouse, so they are very tall. And of course, the tobacco plants grow well in the greenhouse. They're nearly 2 metres as well. So they're very triffid-like. Dangerous plants, we have a surprising amount of dangerous plants in the UK, you know.
Stay down. That'll be Will's dog.
Oh.
we love Will's dog. Sorry, Graham, what you were saying?
That's okay, yeah. Yeah, dangerous plants, I'd say fungi and deadly nightshade, and of course I've actually got some deadly nightshade down on my land, funny. So dangerous, no, but I think unusual, I do have some cacti. I have a sort of a reasonable amount of cacti, some of which I sell. But I would say they're probably the most unusual plants. I love them because of the unusualness of them, if that's a right sort of word to say. One which is particularly unusual, it basically looks like twigs above the soil surface. And you think, what the hell is that? And then suddenly in May, it put a flower on, and the most beautiful flower will appear. And it is beautiful. It's a yellowy sort of flower. And so I think cacti, are my most unusual plants, and I like them because of the differences there. Very well suited for their own environment. They've developed to suit their environment, and that's what I like.
Lovely. Sure. Well, listen, Graham, it's been great to talk to you. Do let me know, or let the village know if you do get any trippage, because I'm sure we'd like to know and probably run a mile.
Yeah.
And long may your successful business continue. We're all pleased you're out there. So thanks very much for that, and it's been great to chat to you.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Graham. Okay, Will. So I guess that was your dog?
I'm afraid it was. I'm sorry, Simon. I can always guarantee that the parcel delivery will happen, if it's going to happen on a Wednesday, will always happen in this half-hour slot, which of course sends the dog off. So a quick scrambling to the door to field a parcel, send them back down the drive as quickly as possible and calm the dog, all in the space of about 20 seconds. So apologies for the disturbance.
No worries, Will. We'd miss it. We'd miss it if it didn't happen, I think. Anyway, we'll look forward very much to your thought for the week, which I've read this week, so I'm really looking forward to it. So the floor is yours, Will, and then once you finish with it, I shall give you your homework.
Oh, great. Lovely. Good morning, everyone. There was a really amazing and inspiring story on breakfast television yesterday morning. I wonder if any of you saw it. It featured Abigail Duffy, who, aged 15, was diagnosed with an acute form of leukemia, and as a result was admitted and treated at Alder Children's Hospital in Liverpool. She underwent 4 grueling rounds of chemotherapy and also a bone marrow transplant. Yesterday she was being interviewed on the television 7 years later, having just completed her first night shift as a student nurse on the very same ward. It was an incredibly moving interview, as Abby told us that she wanted to give back and offer the same care that she herself had experienced, and which had quite literally saved her life. It was such an inspiring and amazing way to respond to all that she'd been through. All of which leads me nicely into what I want to talk about today. And speaking of today, a quick internet search, any search engine you choose to use, will tell you some significant events for this date, the 21st of October. Today is, of course, the date of the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, when Nelson defeated the French and Spanish fleet. Despite the victory, Nelson was shot and killed during the battle and died a national hero. But I don't want to talk about that. Today, in 1944, saw the capture by US troops of Aachen, the first large German city to fall as the World War II entered its final stages. But I don't want to talk about that either. Today, the 21st of October in 1993, saw a failed military coup in Burundi, led by the ex-president Jean-Baptiste Bagaza, which caused the fleeing of over 500,000 Hutus from the region. I certainly don't want to talk about that. But on this day, in 1854, Florence Nightingale, with 38 colleagues, was sent to the Crimean War to tend to the casualties. And so, inspired by Abby Duffy and her nursing in Liverpool, that's what I want to talk about for a few moments now. It's hard to overstate what an impact Florence Nightingale made in her lifetime. Florence Nightingale was born on the 12th of May, 1820, in Nightingale, Italy, the younger of 2 children in a wealthy family. Florence was raised on the family estate in Derbyshire, where she was homeschooled by her parents and tutors. Her father taught her history and philosophy, while her governess taught her music and the arts. She gained excellence in mathematics, and perhaps not so well known, she was a noted statistician and invented a precursor to the pie chart. But alongside these things, she found great solace in taking care of other people. A timeline of her career reveals something of her dedication and commitment, success, and most of all, the reimagining of what good healthcare and nursing looks like. In 1853, Florence started working at the Harley Street nursing home in London. She made improvements to the nursing home, including more training for the staff, and she put in a system that piped hot water to every floor. She also created a lift to bring patients their meals. She became the superintendent at a local care institute until October 1854, when she and those 38 nurses she'd trained went to Crimea when the war began. The reports of the Crimean War in the newspapers paint a terrible picture and describe the lack of proper medical facilities for the British soldiers. The British Army couldn't accommodate the battle injuries and casualties, which led to cholera, lack of supplies, and major problems with sanitation. There was absolute filth, overcrowding, rats, and shortages of supplies, surgeons, clothes, food, and medicine. The Minister at War, Sidney Herbert, appointed Nightingale to oversee the care of the wounded in Constantinople, and Florence's first priority was to scrub all of the injured men's clothes, making them more sanitary and germ-free. In addition to insisting that all dirty clothing be removed from the hospital and taken outside to be washed, she spent her own money to buy bandages, extra clothes, 200 scrubbing brushes, better food, operating tables, and basic necessities for the hospital. Well, after Florence's changes, the hospital conditions drastically improved. Her nurses cleaned the entire hospital, eliminating all germs, considerably reducing contamination and the spread of deadly disease. She sent detailed reports back to London about the ways in which they could improve conditions for patients. And during her night shifts, Florence made her rounds on horseback, and she would then visit each patient at their bedside with a lamp in her hand, becoming known as the Lady with the Lamp. After Florence's initiatives and successes with hospitals, patients and doctors, the public noticed the importance of nurses, and the profession changed forever. Her selfless devotion and determination gave dignity to both hospital staff and patient care. What was once considered an occupation with little respect suddenly became the most honourable profession in the country. The word spread, funds and donations flooded in, and patients received better care. And during this time, Florence researched conditions that improved patient health. The environmental theory, as it was known by Florence Nightingale, described nursing as the act of utilising the environment of the patient to assist in their recovery. Florence identified 5 environmental factors: fresh air, pure water, efficient drainage, cleanliness or sanitation, and light, direct sunlight, which put the patient in the best possible condition to improve and become healthy in a nurturing environment. Florence changed irrevocably the face of nursing, creating sanitary conditions so that patients could receive the very best care. Well, the Crimean War ended in 1856, and Florence returned home to England. The public welcomed her with open arms and shouts of victory, perhaps a prequel to the Sunday evening clap. Florence not only transformed healthcare, but she inspired the groundwork to open the National Red Cross and Red Crescent societies, caring for the wounded and sick soldiers in battle, and bringing the same reforms to military hospitals as well. In 1860, Florence established the Nightingale Training School for nurses at St Thomas's Hospital in London. After the nurses received their training, they went to practice at hospitals in Britain, using the Nightingale model of nursing. Florence also published Notes on Nursing, which outlined her principles of nursing, and she used the money from the sales to establish St Thomas's Hospital and the Nightingale Training School for nurses. It is remarkable and rare that one person could have such a profound effect on shaping nursing care as we know it today. It is so fitting that the temporary hospitals in this country during COVID have been named after her. So as we commemorate Florence Nightingale, we also remember all nurses today and give thanks for the light and hope they bring to their patients as well. Florence Nightingale, Abby Duffy, and all nurses today deserve our utmost thanks and our appreciation.
Wonderful, Will. I mean,
Well said, Will.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I didn't know all that about Florence. I mean, obviously I knew a little bit about her, but I didn't realise just how influential she was. It's quite remarkable, isn't it?
an absolute pioneer, changing the face of nursing and healthcare, and just seeing a direct correlation between the sort of the conditions that patients were in and their chances of returning to full health, and the speed at which that might happen.
And of course, this was an era when, from my very little amount of medical knowledge I have, the anaesthetics and things like that were very much embryonic, even if they existed. So the medical conditions, if you like, for the wounded soldiers would have been absolutely terrible, wouldn't they? Quite apart from the dirt and the disease and everything.
Absolutely, and of course, stating the obvious, long before the creation of the National Health Service, so the care was patchy, was inconsistent, and largely was sort of governed by a means for people to be able to pay what they could afford or not afford, had a direct sort of bearing on what sort of care they might be able to receive.
And I didn't see the program of Abigail Duffy, Will, but that sounds like a lovely story and a beautiful sort of circularity to it. Isn't it just wonderful? It almost brings tears to the eyes, doesn't it?
Yeah, so, I mean, I watched back a short video clip of that interview. So if you go on a search engine, I won't name them, but you'll just put Abby Duffy, Alder Hey Hospital, and it will come up. And it's just a very short interview, and I found it so humbling. That was how, she'd been through some terrible battles, age 15, such a tender age, she obviously had to face some very significant things, and then actually just say, now I'm better. What I want to do is help other people who might be facing similar challenges in that sort of acute cancer in the paediatric ward. Incredible.
Absolutely. Well, the other thing I wanted to say, Will, is so obviously thank you very much for that. As always,
you're welcome.
You are, as we've often said, an absolute amazing source of information. I mean, I think only you would have found out that she was also an eminent statistician.
Yeah, I just like that when you research and you find something. Actually, it's not just about nursing, and and this is at a time. I regret to say it, but in some ways we need to call it out. This is a time where opportunities in education for men and women were very unequal. Yeah. So actually, what Florence Nightingale achieved, from her sort of limited homeschooling and governess, albeit from a very privileged background, is extraordinary. She could have been an eminent mathematician, never mind the fact that actually it was nursing that she's most often remembered for. Amazing.
Wonderful. Well, okay, so building on your immense knowledge, Will, there's a bit of homework I've got for you, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
I'm looking at the future calls, and on the 25th of November,
yes,
which I hopefully you'll be able to make, it's actually, I should have said this other way around. There's another day. I'll start that sentence again. Forgive me. There's a very interesting date for me of the 22nd of November. Don't say anything now, but I wonder whether you might like to do some research on the 22nd of November and do a sort of something similar on the closest call we have to it, which I think is the 25th of November.
Yep.
Which will, by the way, be our penultimate call. So we're getting towards the end of the crescendo that we hope to go out on. So
brilliant.
That's your hope, if you don't mind, Will. And when you research the 22nd of November, I'll be very interested to see what you come up with. And what you come up with, my favourite thing, which I must admit is a bit obscure, but I'll say no more.
I could leave you very disappointed and find out something very interesting about the 22nd of November, and it's not be what you were hoping I would talk about at all. But you run the risk. But I'll always accept a challenge from you, Simon, and look forward to delving around, reading some books and articles, and let's see what we come up with.
Lovely. Thanks ever so much, Will. And thank you again for your very wonderful support for the day.
My pleasure, always.
Thank you. Now, it's 25 minutes past. I just want to check whether Louise has managed to dial in. So, Louise, if you've managed to dial in, are you out there? And I'm guessing she didn't. So in that case...
you know what, Simon? I think she chickened out. She was probably going to get so fed up with people talking about the weather today. She's probably just keeping her head down and out of the way. People moaning about British weather. I think she's probably taken a tactical choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say to her, actually, I read somewhere not long ago that the British people talk about weather more than any other
we're obsessed.
Nation. We are obsessed with it, aren't we? And of course, especially when it rains, it's just a fascinating topic, and everybody always, I mean, the number of times you speak to people along with, what's the weather like where you are?
Yeah.
Instead of sort of, it makes me giggle.
I mean, Louise is lovely. She's so friendly and so on, but I bet she gets a bit fed up with people asking her about the weather. It's a bit like sort of GPs who let slip what they do for a living, you know, at a drinks party or something, and then everyone goes, oh, can I just ask you about this condition or that? You know, it's yeah, exactly, in the middle of a crowded room at a party or something. It's
absolutely. I bet
occupational hazard.
There's a sunny, maybe the next time there's a sunny day, perhaps she'll suddenly materialise. We'll see. Anyway, no worries. Anybody that was hoping to listen to Louise, hopefully we'll get her on at a future occasion, and let's say we'll try not to give her too much of a hard time about the weather. So we've only got a few minutes anyway left, but I believe young Chris Emmel is poised to stand in a slightly different way and read his poems about death and bread. Is that right, Chris?
Well, I'm given the healthy nature of Will's thought for the week, I'm afraid mine is about death, bread, and drunkenness. But before you actually roll your eyes and give up, all I can say to you is that it's poetry, and they are metaphors for getting the very, very best out of life. So they're mercifully short, and we're running out of time. So I'll start with the first one. It's by a guy called Charles Bukowski. And he says, my dear, find what you love and let it kill you. Let it drain you of your all. Let it cling onto your back and weigh you down into eventual nothingness. Let it kill you and let it devour your remains.